I hadn't done a video in the tractor in a while, and I also haven't done a lot with the tractor recently. But I'm going to work on the driveway some, and so I figured I'd take you along with me. This is the driveway going out to the new shed. I guess this spring in April, I bought 90 tons of road base. Road base here is basically, you know, your average garden variety driveway. You can get rock if you want it, but it is much more expensive than road base, and road base for what I want to do works perfectly fine, because eventually our plan is still to concrete the driveway. Right now what I'm trying to do is just trying to cover in some of the areas where there's a little bit less cover than on other parts of the driveway. So I mean, I'm not necessarily trying to do anything spectacular. Basically we're just going to bucket spread it. I'm not too grade it out a little bit. This basically just kind of working on getting ready for winter. I know it's the reason I'm doing tractor. One of the reasons I'm doing tractor work today is because it's so bloody hot. I don't know what the temperature was today, but it was in the, I would say, low 90s, and for this time of year in South Dakota, that is pretty darn cold. I mean, pretty darn hot. It is not cold. I don't know how much above average that is, but it's got to be pretty substantial. And we have not, right in our area, it's rained just to the east of us quite a bit in the last few days. We have not had any appreciable rain in probably 2.5 weeks. So certainly not a good thing, particularly given where corn is at. And then you have all of the storm damage down in Iowa. What you didn't know about that is pretty horrific. 10 million acres of cropland. So now what I'm going to do is, off to your right hand side, I've got to get some of this grass kind of picked off and just piled up somewhere. I think I'm going to pile it in the back with my rest of my bad dirt pile. And that way I can go ahead and work on building the curve here into the new shed. It's not going to go out too terribly far. I mean, you can see how dry it is. Tell you what, I really appreciate this new this bucket, which is a traditional like material moving for a skid steer. Ground's hard. Can definitely move a lot more material in the amount of time compared to my old. This is a 78-inch bucket. The old bucket, I still have it. I'm still going to use it. It's a 72-inch. It's a Frontier bucket. It's a John Deere bucket. Much heavier duty than this bucket that I have on here now. This is a Tomahawk brand bucket. I think I paid 450 bucks for it. I think new. I bought it at an auction, brand new. I think that I must have lost that up the easy go to pick that up a little bit. You know, so in terms of cost-wise, it's pretty cheap, but it shows the construction. I certainly don't think I would want to buy this bucket if I was using it commercially. I just don't think, because it doesn't have a replaceable wear edge or anything like that. This is just basically a pile of waste dirt. If I ever need some fill or something like that, I'll use that dirt first. Basically, it's got a lot of rocks in it, got a lot of driveway gravel in it, things along those lines. Don't really have much to do with it. But you can, I think you can see the sun there. Very, very humid here. But not, probably not as humid as it has been, but still a lot of moisture in the air. That's why the sun's such an orange color. And even though it's only about 7:30. Spent most of the day, came out this morning, worked on various projects. Don't have any video of that. I worked on organizing the shop some, and then worked on tearing apart. I don't know if anybody's caught it, but that K91 transaxle has been sitting in the shop for, you know, the last 6 months. I finally decided I need to do something with that. So, finished it, taking it apart. If anybody needs any K91 parts, let me know. I took out more than I wanted, but that's okay. Really don't want to drive across the grass at this point. I think it would do more harm than anything, with the grass being as heat stress. We haven't mowed. I think we had to mow part of the yard earlier this week. Today is Sunday, August 23rd. We had to mow part of the yard back on like the 17th or 18th, but we haven't touched the mower since then. I don't think we will in the near future. Don't want to go mowing the grass, stress it out more than it already is with lack of water. You see the sprinkler, I'm working on trying to grass in the trenches from putting in the tile lines and everything. I used, you saw me do the 317 video. You saw me take the 317 out, and yeah, I should have backed up. Until some of those tile line trenches. Got one leveled out the other night as best we could. Went ahead and put some grass seed down. Mostly I want to see, I may not even grass that other part that you saw me till in the video. I may not grass that until next spring, because I want to see how this grass performs this fall, and then going into early next spring, seeing how it comes back. Because the dirt that we dug up was pretty barren in terms of, you know, topsoil for us. We already have some problems with where, you know, there's no topsoil. So I think that I may what the sprinkling is where we worked on it the other night, and then I'll work on that a little bit more. I may finish out the rest of that. I've got to get some dirt up next to the building. That'll be coming up here pretty quick. Get some dirt up next to the building, get ready for winter there. This is always the problem when you're cutting the corner, you know. I don't want to scrape up the gravel that I've already put down. I'll kind of pick at it a little bit. Yeah, this ground is just so dry. Just coming up in gigantic clumps, which is fine. I'm gonna go dump that before I, oh no. We can get it pumped back a little bit more. Maybe not, but we can get a little Then I'll come back and rake the rest back in there, scoop it up. One more trip and we should be good. Somewhat eaten into the side of the, because we're kind of going uphill. But I'm thinking about in the future, you know, I want a good base for a future concrete driveway, so I'm digging probably a little bit deeper than I actually need to, particularly for a road that I'm not going to use that much. I haven't done that many videos recently. I'm sure everybody that frequently watches my channel knows that. We've just been extremely busy doing, I mean, really kind of stuff that doesn't really need to be videoed. I mean, there's no reason to mow, you know. Up until about 3 weeks ago, we were mowing the yard 3 days a week. Or we were mowing the yard every 3 days, which didn't give me a lot of time. And then I've done a lot of organization in the shed and the shop, trying to get my life in order, because everybody knows that the shop is an absolute pit. And it's just time to fix that. Now that I've got the shed, you know what, we're gonna make our trips count. You know, so it's just time to organize stuff. And so as part of that, you know, we're just organizing, and organizing is not something that is all that exciting to video. I will have to say though, I don't know if any of y'all know much about organization. One of the things I have invested in, and I may do a video on it, is I have purchased a bunch of Deere manufacturing sliding boxes. I finally got to the point with like my nuts and bolts and pipe fittings and you know, hardware and everything else, and electrical connections and everything. Finally got to the point where it's like, you know, I've got little boxes scattered all around the shop. You know, why don't I centralize that? I'll cut down on, you know, some of the storage problems that I have, things along those lines. So I invested in 2 6-place sliding racks, and we're gonna see how they turn out and how I like them. So far, I really like them. Like I said, I may do a little video at the end of this video, or maybe I'll do its own video, because they're kind of cool. They're not cheap. Just the slides for it, I want to say they were like $127 for the 6-place slide. And then you have to get the boxes on top of that, and the boxes with their compartments and everything are in the you know, somewhere between 20 and 40 bucks, depending on which slide or which box you're after, how many compartments, etc., or if it's adjustable. These are the larger size boxes. I mean, if you're looking for ways to organize something, I would highly recommend it if you want to spend, you know, this is a more commercial duty. It's, if you've seen stuff like in vans, like work vans and stuff like that, this would be the equivalent to that kind of stuff. I'm gonna rake everything back in here. Let's see if I can get it all in there. a little more than I wanted on that 1 inch. And naturally, I'll come back in here with some black dirt and we'll put down the sides and get all that nice and straightened out. That's something that we will do in the future. I mean, right now there's no reason to put much black dirt down because you're not going to get anything to grow. But going back to what I've been doing, you know, working on just getting all of my random parts that I've collected over the last, you know, 6 to 8 years somewhat organized and put in some type of pallet system or whatever. My next big purchase will be pallet racking for the new shed, and then from there probably the next thing will be a forklift. Probably have to sell some machines to do the forklift, but that is my plan. And from there I will probably go after, I'll start working on finding a 430 again. Tell you one thing, 78-inch bucket that's got a longer lip on it, you definitely know it's up there compared to the old 72-inch bucket. You get a lot more product, that's for sure, but you can definitely, with that old 72-inch bucket that's got the shorter lip on it, so it doesn't have the, you know, capacity, you could just go into a pile and you could just do a deadlift, whereas you can't just drive into a pile and just lift. You got to be a little bit more, have a little bit more finesse with this larger, you know, that extra 4 inches, and then there's probably an additional 4 inches of lip there that you're going to have to get through. Yeah, it's basically pushing up. I'm just going to dump this right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and rake that back in there. Just drive over the top of that pile. That's all. Take, and we will just push this in there. Yes, I know there's some organic matter in there, but I'm not too terribly concerned about it on that edge, because the concrete probably won't go quite there. At some point I wish I had the bucket on the X748, because the X748 is great for like little itty bitty things like this. I'm going to turn around for just a minute and work with the box blade, and I'll come back when I've finished that. Alright, got the box blade work done. That helped out a little bit, you know, just being able to see it some more. Just going to roughly run the tractor over it and pack it down a little bit. This is one of those times where I wish I had my own plate compactor. This is also one of those jobs where a skid steer would be just handier than all get out, but you know, one of the things that I wrestled with when I bought this tractor was, you know, would I prefer a skid steer over a compact utility tractor? And you know, it's one of those deals that a skid steer, yes, would be more productive in jobs like this, but I also think a skid steer moving snow is, in our case, is not nearly as effective and is more expensive than the compact utility tractor. Because skid steer blowers are all hydraulic powered, and by the time you get to a skid steer blower that has the, you know, basically the width that you need and everything else, I just, you know, it wasn't going to be any different than, say, a blower on the 1445. I wanted, you know, by the time I got into the skid steer, the size that I would want, you're talking, I mean, basically it's the same price as the tractor, or it was a little bit more. I want to say the skid steer and the attachments I was looking at was somewhere around 70 grand. I would have to go back and even figure out what, they probably don't even make the model I was looking at. I'm trying to remember now. Anyway, skid steers just they're not cheap, they're extremely handy. And they are available in the used market, and the used market is much better than compact utility tractors. I mean, let's face it, the used market on compact utility tractors, you know, you can go buy a couple-year-old tractor for practically the same cost as one's going to cost new, and then you're still going to have you're not going to get nearly the financing rate on a used one that you're going to get on a new one. One of the reasons that I went with a new one over a used one. All right, so got the road base there. Now next, we need to get some more dirt for the road base. And realistically, as I've already mentioned, one of the things I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the driveway prepped for us to start pouring concrete, and conservatively I'm going to say 4 years. Hopefully it occurs before then. All total, there will probably be, the first pour will be about 9,000 square feet, and then there will be 2 more after that we will work on. Pile's hard. So basically what we'll do is we'll do from the road to the house. There'll be an apron out by the road. Then it'll come all the way up to the house. That'll be a 10-foot wide, 10-foot wide, 6-inch deep, 24-inch on center rebar driveway. And basically that will come all the way to the house, and then once it gets to the power pole there on the other side, you know, you can see it off to the left of my truck. Once it gets to the power pole there, it'll angle out and come, basically it'll become 20 feet wide there, and there's going to be a significant amount of grading work that needs to occur to make the water flow properly. So that's going to be one of the bigger challenges of this, but make sure I'm dumping my rock where I want it. So that's going to be one of the bigger challenges of the driveway work, is the cost of the dirt work. It is actually pretty significant because of what all we need to do. Didn't have my angle right. I mean, we just have a significant amount of grading that needs to occur to make the water flow properly, and also we want to make sure that we get all of our all of the necessary pipes under the driveway. prior to doing the concrete work, because the last thing I'm going to be doing is either having to have a boring machine or having to cut up concrete, put something down. And one of those things that we need to do is we actually need to run some additional water to the back of the property, which will most likely have to come across the driveway. Now right here, what I want to do in the future, I was trying to do it this year, but I just don't see it happening, is I want to run a culvert under that part of the driveway, but I just don't see me having the time to do that. That's a pretty substantial undertaking. Basically, I wanted to go under the driveway to drain towards the pond. Hopefully this video is interesting and my commentary is at least keeping you interested. It's not necessarily designed to be a filler video or anything. I just haven't done any tractor work and figured that you might want to see some tractor work. Did talk to the electrician this week. He's going to be out here in a couple weeks to run power to the new shed. He's just extremely busy. So he's going to do that. We're going to put a 200 amp panel in, and that 200 amp panel, then I can start working on the lights for the shed. So that'll be upcoming. I don't know when I'm going to get the lights done. We're going to attempt to do them this year. I would really like to do them this year. I will at least get a light or two run in there this year. I do know that. But he's going to do a little bit of other work in there from the standpoint of getting it ready for lights, and also getting the other getting the words. And words are difficult. Trying to concentrate, run a machine, do everything else at the same time. He's going to prep a couple things for the future building as well while he's doing it. We figured we might as well do that while he's at it. It doesn't cost that much more. It's a matter of just drilling some extra holes, things along those lines. So he'll go ahead and get some of that prep work done while he's here. My big concern at this point, for those of you that watch frequently, is the fact that I had all that water get in that pipe. I blew it out a couple weeks ago. But still, I'm extremely concerned that all of that water is going to sit in that pipe and it's going to freeze and blow out that pipe. That would not be very good, because then my pipe that I spent a lot of time and effort on is basically worthless, which is not what I wanted. The reason I'm back dragging it all the way up here versus stopping down there is there are some holes and kind of water ruts, drainages that are up here on the farther part of the driveway that I need to take care of. So I'm just basically, we're just kind of smoothing it out, just giving it a nice top coat. Nothing too fancy. It'll at least provide us a little, provide me a little bit of cushion come springtime. So instead of all this mud, I'll at least have some dirt there, or some road base there to have. That way the driveway is not quite so muddy. Historically, this right through here has been extremely muddy in the spring, and I really don't want that to be the case. I think I am going to go work on this. It's getting kind of dark. And work on this for another 20 minutes or so, and then I think I'm going to call it evening. So, questions, comments, leave them below. Thanks for watching.